Okay, so firstly, before I get started doing anything, I do want to ask you, the viewer, do you want to see any sort of background video or gameplay on these videos? Um, these videos are going to be pretty boring most of the time, so I was thinking about putting like, I don't know, Minecraft gameplay in the background just to make it a little bit more interesting. But if you don't want to see that, let me know. If you do, also let me know. Anyways, so as you probably know, I use Neovim, and I use Arch, and I use all these other fancy tools. I even use this little thing where I can browse my files in the terminal, and I can do everything from my keyboard. It's really cool. It's really fun. But the question that I want to answer today, or at least start talking about, is: are these tools actually productive? Are they actually useful? Are they useful in any way past them being cool? Right? Um, like this tool, it's really cool. It's like I think it's like 3.3 megabytes in size. It's tiny. It's so fast. It's wonderful. I mean, look at this. I can just go videos. Oh, I can see everything. It's absolutely amazing, right? Uh, but is it actually useful? I don't. Maybe yes. In technicality, it makes me happy. So yes, it is useful. But it's not really productive, is it? Uh, I have spent an obscene amount of time figuring trying to figure out how to create a new file with this file browser. Um, I'm not joking. It took me like 30 minutes, and in that time, I could have opened up Thunar, could have right-clicked, and I could have clicked. Actually, I don't even know how to create a file with Thunar. I'm gonna be honest. I normally just go into the terminal and like nvim myfile.txt because that's quicker for me. But my point is, generally speaking, some of these features are not necessary, and there's a lot of a lot of times there's just better ways that you could go about things, right? Uh, and again, that's what I want to talk about. Now, this video was inspired by this Reddit post that I saw like 3 or 4 months ago, a long time ago. I tried to find it, I could not, so bear with me here. But the general idea of the post was posted on the Neovim subreddit, I believe. The general idea of the post was, if we use Neovim for productivity, then let's use apps and programs that make us productive, which might not always be Neovim. And I think the best example of this is my note-taking setup. If you're watching this video, you've probably come from my main channel, and if you aren't coming from my main channel, you should, because I want that ad money. I want that. Yes, I want all the ad money. So go watch videos on my main channel. But if you aren't, then I'd be surprised. But if you are, then you probably know about my note-taking setup that I use for like Neovim. I use LaTeX. I use Markdown. Use all these fancy things, right? Uh, and half the reason that I use it is because it's super fun for me. And I'll show you what it actually looks like here in just a second. But it's not really productive all the time. With LaTeX, there are days where I spend 10 or 15 minutes trying to figure out how to create a certain symbol. Uh, and a lot of the times it's kind of just like, wow, I could just write this out on paper. I could write an integral out on paper and take like half a second. It would suck to have my notes on paper, but I wouldn't have to deal with the hassle of going, okay, nvim myfile.txt base text. Okay, I need to put this in an equation. We need to use this because that's more proper. Then we need to do backslash int sub a power b. That's annoying, right? Um, you know, and at this point in time, like this is actually pretty effective for me. I'm going pretty quick with this stuff. I don't have to think about it as much anymore. But when I first started, it was slow. It took me a long time to get a grasp of these things, and yeah, it wasn't great. Focusing on my note taking setup, exactly. This again, super awesome. It's really cool. But is it really that effective? No, because look, I could just use Obsidian, and here, let me see if this will actually let me open my notes. Okay, it will. I could just open this, and I could just do everything like a normal person. Uh, and it would make my life a lot easier, probably. But I like doing things the fun way because it makes me happy. So even if it's not as productive, it makes me happy, so I do it that way. Um, but getting back on topic, I kind of went on a bit of a side tangent there. Neovim. LaTeX, all these fancy tools, they aren't really necessary. I mean, even Obsidian is not necessary. Really, what is necessary is just that I have some way to write down what I learned in class so I don't completely forget it, so I can look back on it. That's all that I need. Obsidian is not that far off of doing that, but it's still it's a bit more. And of course, something like Neovim is way, way, way far off that. So it's just something you think about. But yeah, going more into that, well, actually tying that back into what I originally said about if we use Neovim for productivity, then let's use apps and programs that make us productive. That wasn't me that said that, actually. That was that Reddit post that I talked about earlier. But if we're trying to be productive, there's a lot of different ways that we can go about that. We can use fancy tools like Neovim. That's what I'm doing here. And that's what I enjoy doing. But if I'm truly trying to be productive, then Obsidian is probably going to be a better bet, right? Or again, just doing everything on paper. Uh, but I choose to use what makes me happy, right? I am busy. I normally only have like 2 to 4 hours to spare a day, and actually that's being pretty gracious. But the sometimes you just don't have the time of the day. But like I do this because I enjoy it, and even if it takes me another like 30 minutes or something to figure something out, it's more fun for me, right? And that's why I do it. The other thing that I want to make an example of is Arch. Arch is I do everything myself with Arch, and it takes a long time sometimes. I have to maintain my own system. I even have it on my Google Calendar. Let me see if I can pull this up without doxing myself at first, actually. Make sure I'm not like, oh yeah, no, that's fine. Okay. I even have it on my calendar. I have system maintenance, and I follow this dude's blog. That I think I've talked about before on my main channel. I made a script out of what he's talked about here. But I use Arch because I feel more productive. Because I mean, look at this. Like I can open a tab, and then I can do this, and I can move it around. I can do all that without taking my hands off the keyboard. But that took me months to learn. That was not productive. That was not a productive time for me. And again, it took me a long time to get this productive. I guess and get this efficient with moving stuff around and doing what I just did. But just for getting general stuff done, taking notes, and even programming, even software development, even Rust, C, I could do that on Windows. I could do that on Mac. It wouldn't matter that much, Um, and I think a lot of the times that I pick up these new tools, I'm not really thinking like, oh, this is gonna take a long ass time to learn, and I just need to get this one thing done. It's more, I just want to do this because it's fun, right? That's not the worst thing in the world, but it's not great either. Okay, so I'm gonna try and wrap things up here. Getting back on topic, if we talk about productivity in more of a business sense, and so in other words, less of a I'm doing this because it makes me happy, and more of a I'm doing this because I need to get this, and this done today, right? Using Neovim for everything, or any other tool like Neovim, is not a good use of your time, right? That's just a fact of the matter. It just isn't. And I'll give you an example of that. Actually, I've really already given you like 30 examples, but I'll give you one more. So if we go into Neovim, I have this thing called Neovim Spectre. It's really cool. I think I open it like this. Yeah, it's just a find and replace thing. But I spent 15 minutes trying to figure how to use this today, and it was not great. Yeah, like once I figured it out, it was great. But like, look at that. There are so many different mappings to read through, and realistically, what I was trying to find and replace, I could have just done the same if I just went open Z. And do I know how to do it immediately? No, but I probably figure it out pretty quickly, or I can figure it out with a quick Google. I can't do that for the Spectre thing that I was just talking about. So again, if we're talking about productivity and just a get it done as fast as you can sense, Neovim and all these tools are kind of useless, right? In the long run, they might be good, but if I'm just trying to do, I find and replace things across my entire repo, like, I don't know, I mean, once a month, once every 3 months probably. Doing something like that, I don't need to memorize how to do anything else, or how to do anything with Spectre, sorry. And I kind of forget. And I'm sure that the next time I try and find or replace, it's not, it's not going to be intuitive again. And I'm going to go through that whole process again, trying to figure out how do I find and replace, right? Um, and yeah, it's not productive in that business sense of I need to get this, this, and this done. Anyways, I'm yapping. I'm gonna try and wrap things up real quick here. There's like one more thing I want to mention. Yeah, so again, bringing us back to the original title of this video, using the right tool for the right job. I think my consensus on this, and tell me what you think, but my consensus is that you should use the right tool for the right job, and consider the amount of time you're going to spend using that tool, right? One of the many reasons that I take my notes in a certain way, like this, is so I can just be a little bit quicker with everything, right? I spend probably 2 hour two in my notes every day. I think that's a fair guesstimate, right? And I don't I don't want my note taking setup to be slow. I don't want it to feel slow, right? I want it to be tailored to me. And again, I don't think that initially this was productive for me. I don't think this was the right tool for the right job initially. But later on down the line, Neovim, LaTeX, Markdown, all of these tools really came in handy, especially once I learned to use them, especially once I learned how to type in them faster, especially once I learned some neat little tricks. Like, guess what? You can copy and paste an image of LaTeX into ChatGPT, and it'll spit out some pretty accurate LaTeX, and you can just yeah, you can just go from there, and it's quite nice. It saves you a lot of time. Just things like that don't really occur to you instantly, right? Um, but again, that took me a really long time to learn that. It took me like probably 3 or 4 months to figure that out, and that's the same way for other things. And again, if I was not a student and I was just taking like I don't know, a 3 month IT class or something, right? I should not be adopting this whole method of taking notes and doing everything, because that's not going to be effective, right? It's not the right tool for the right job. As we've been talking about this entire video, it's just simply not the right tool for the right job, and I should probably just use something like Obsidian or, God forbid, Notion. And, well, yeah, that's my whole spiel. I did not expect this to take 13 minutes, but yeah. The one thing I want to close on, none of this going either way, either really hard into the open source, do everything yourself kind of lifestyle, or the follow your corporate overlords is bad. It's just a different way of doing things. So just do things the way you want. That's what I'm gonna close on. Yeah, that's it. Bye bye.